If you crash every afternoon, it is not your age, and it's certainly not because you need another coffee. It's 6 things you do before 2 p.m. and most men are doing all of them wrong. So if you're sharp in the morning, but by 2 p.m. you feel foggy, you got no energy, and you've read the same email 5 times, this video fixes it. I call this the all-day engine. First, why you actually crash, because once you get that, the rest of it becomes easy. Then, the 5 things you need to change throughout your day. The primer, the brew, the anchor, the lunch, and the rescue. And by the end, you have a full day of stable, all-day energy. You see, most men try and fix the 2 p.m. crash at 2 p.m., but by that stage, it's already too late. And that is why they never beat it. But once your engine's built right, the crash just doesn't come. So let's start with why it actually happens. A quick little bit of why before we go into any fixes, because this is the stuff that will actually make it make sense. When you eat, your blood sugar goes up. That's normal. When you eat the wrong things like cereal, a muffin, or a sugary coffee, it doesn't just go up, it spikes up, and then your body panics. It dumps a load of insulin to clear that blood sugar as fast as it can. You might remember me talking about insulin and fasting insulin in a previous video. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Well, it's doing its job, but it's in a massive rush, and that's why it overshoots the mark. It actually clears too much, and our blood sugar goes below where it was when we started, and that's why our brain is struggling to survive on absolute fumes. That dip is called the 2 p.m. crash. The brain fog, the food cravings, and obviously the 50th coffee. So here's the whole game plan in one single line. Every spike has a crash on the other side of it. And that's why the fix is not just more energy. It's having no spikes. You want stable, steady fuel all day long. And that's why I called it the all-day engine. So let's build it, starting from the second you wake up. Here's the first mistake, and almost every single man makes it. You wake up and the first thing you do is pour coffee on an empty stomach. It feels productive, but you've been asleep for 8 hours, let's hope, and you haven't had a single thing to drink, so you're dehydrated. And a lot of that morning grogginess you blame on being tired is just that. Then you hit a dehydrated, empty system with caffeine, which pushes your blood sugar up and your stress hormones up before you've even eaten your first meal. And that, my friends, is why you feel wired for about an hour, but then you feel flat. So before I have my first coffee, this is exactly what I do. The water and the salt gets you properly hydrated and switches your system on. The apple cider vinegar and cinnamon is the clever part though, because taken before food, they actually blunt the first blood sugar spike of the day. So you start with stable energy instead of having a crazy spike. And that's why this one drink takes the edge off the whole day before it's even started. So that's the base foundation laid out. But the next one is the one that everyone asks me about. That is, what goes in my coffee? So far, we've primed the system, and now for the coffee itself. And here's the mistake again, same enemy. Most men have a coffee with an insane amount of sugar in it, or a pastry, or something sweet from a drive-thru. That is another massive insulin spike. That coffee isn't doing shit for you other than setting you up for another crash. And that's why they're a foggy mess by 11 o'clock, and they're blaming having a bad night's sleep. I use coffee the opposite way. Not to wake up, but to stay switched on and stable for hours. And the whole trick is what I put in it. Black coffee for the focus, obviously. Then 2 tablespoons of MCT oil. Now this one is the key. It's a fat, and fats don't spike your insulin. Your body is going to burn it nice and slowly, like a wood fire, instead of like a match lighting a piece of paper. So you get steady energy, and it keeps you feeling full for longer, so you're not raiding the cupboard at 11 a.m. Creatine for your brain and also for your strength. Rhodiola to handle stress without making you feel super fucking fried. L-theanine, which takes the jittery edge off the caffeine. I know a lot of you will be familiar with that. A bit of cinnamon to keep the blood sugar nice and steady, and a little stevia for that sweet taste without the sugar. Put it all together, and here's why it works. Fat plus caffeine plus 0 sugar gives you a long, stable, sustained release energy instead of a massive peak and then a fucking dump afterwards. That way you stay sharp all the way through lunch instead of crashing and feeling like you need coffee number 10 at 2 p.m. Now, if you want the exact amounts, the doses, and the rest of this whole system laid out day by day, I put it all into my free 7-day course. It's called The Enhanced Man. 1 short email a day, 1 tangible thing to do. And by the end of it, you'll actually have done it instead of just watching a video about it. It's free, links below. That handles your morning. But here's where most men piss it all up the wall in one single move. Their first meal of the day. So far, we've got the primer and the brew, keeping your energy stable. Then a lot of guys will sit down, have toast, cereal, a banana, and a cup of fruit juice, and they'll think they're being healthy. But that's 4 hits of sugar all at once and one massive big spike. It's honestly a shit way to start the day, and there's no wonder why you feel that energy crash by 10 or 11 a.m. Your first real meal should anchor your blood sugar, not skyrocket it. So the rule here is super simple. Protein comes first. Aim for 40 to 50 grams. Eggs, meat, a proper shake. Add some fat, add some fiber, but just leave the fucking sugar out of it. Protein and fat will keep you full for hours. So there's no mid-morning dip and there's no energy crash. And that's why the first thing you put in your mouth each day will set the tone for the rest of the day. So now you've strung together 3 stable energy wins before you've even got to work. But here's the one that actually decides your 2 p.m. And it's the one that nobody links to it, your lunch. This is a big one for the 2 p.m. crash, boys, so listen up. Because the crash at 2 p.m. isn't about your morning at all. It's about what you ate at 12:30. Most men will grab a sandwich, a wrap, a bowl of pasta, a soda, or something else fast and sugary, and that is the biggest spike of the day. And that's why about 90 minutes later, 2 p.m. rolls around and you feel like absolute shit. So just flip it. Build the lunch the same way. Protein and veg, a little bit of fat, skip the bread and the sugary drink, and also don't eat until you're fucking full as shit and you can't move around, because a massive meal will actually pull all the blood into your gut and make that brain fog even worse. And here's a little free one that works literally by itself. Go for a 10-minute walk after you eat. And no, this is not some heebie-jeebie bullshit. This works and I'll explain it. Walking pulls the sugar out of your blood and into your muscles. So you literally flatten the spike without doing anything else. And that's why the men who walk after lunch are the ones that are still sharp at 3 p.m. So if you only change one thing from this whole video, make sure it's your lunch. This is the most important one by far. Because sometimes, as you know, life happens and you just choose the wrong thing, but you can literally feel it almost instantaneously. Well, at least 90 minutes after. So here's what to do if the crash is coming regardless. So far, 5 things to stop the crash before it even starts. This last one is the emergency brake to pull when it still gets you. And the first rule is, don't do what everyone else does. Don't reach for a chocolate bar or another sugary coffee. Don't do it, man. Don't fucking do it. That's not a fix. It's gonna just dig you deeper into the hole you're already in. And you'll feel like shit an hour later, guaranteed. Instead, here is the rescue. Get up and walk for 10 minutes. Same reason as before, it'll burn off the sugar. If you need to eat protein, something like jerky or a protein shake or a handful of nuts for some fat. Certainly don't eat more sugar. Have a glass of water with some pink salt or some Celtic salt or some Baja Gold salt, because some of that afternoon flatness is legit just dehydration creeping back in. And also, just a little pro tip here, go get some sunlight, even if it's only 2 minutes. The sun hitting your face is gonna switch you back on and wake you back up. And that's why just doing 10 minutes of doing the right things in this sequence is going to make you feel better instead of fighting your eyelids for a whole hour. So there's the all-day engine. You understand why you spike and then you drop, the primer before the coffee, the brew that burns slow, the anchor that sets the tone, the lunch that decides your 2 p.m., and the rescue for when it still sneaks through. Now there's one more thing sitting underneath all of this that makes everything harder when it's off, and that is your sleep. Get your sleep wrong and you wake up insulin resistant and craving sugar before you even start the day. That's going to be on the next video, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. For now, start with one thing tomorrow. If I was you, I would choose the lunch. It's the most important by far. And if you want the full system, the recipes, the doses, my 7-day free course, it's called The Enhanced Man and it's linked below. And if you'd rather have me build everything for you custom around your blood work, schedule, and lifestyle, the link for the coaching is below too. Because I don't think you're tired. I think you're just running on the wrong fuel.